put the body in the back of his, or the person in the back of his pickup truck and drove here.
A Fort Myers attorney with a shocking tale, saying his client, John Marshall, seen here in a previous mugshot, showed up at his law office with a dead body in the back of his pickup truck. He reportedly said he killed the man, and that's not all. What's even more intriguing is how far he drove with the body in the back of his pickup truck.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what route he took, but we did some checking and figured out the shortest route from where the killing happened in Bokeelia on Pine Island to the law office in downtown Fort Myers is 25 miles, about a 45-minute drive minimum. For In Your Corner's Katie Jones at the law office, where this lawyer Robert Harris certainly has his hands full tonight. She's got the latest for us, Katie.
Well, guys, we literally just seconds ago got word from John Marshall's attorney that he will not be arrested for this incident. The attorney, Robert Harris, tells us just a few seconds ago that Lee County Sheriff's deputy said he will not be arrested. You can see there still is a very active crime scene here on Virginia Avenue. Detectives are starting to take down the crime tape, but much of the street is still blocked off. But the attorney, Robert Harris, says this is definitely one of the most bizarre things he has ever seen. His client showing up at his office this afternoon with a body in the back of a pickup truck. He's no stranger to a crime scene, but defense attorney Robert Harris never thought his office would become one.
They don't teach you about this in law school, that's for sure. I believe we've handled ourselves correctly, but I'm a little in shock myself.
His law firm covered in crime tape, surrounded by detectives, after Harris says his client John Marshall showed up with a body in the back of this pickup truck.
He's in complete shock, probably right now still. He's still breathing heavy. He's looking like a man who's lost the world.
Harris says Marshall had just purchased property on Bokeelia and was doing some renovations that didn't sit well with one neighbor.
This person had not wanted him to build in that area. I guess that's what he was angry about, but there were some consistent threats.
And he says those threats turned physical.
Had came at him with a gun, pistol whipped him in the face, knocking out a tooth or two. He's got scratches and bruises. He's got, his clothes were filthy and dirty. He looks like a man who'd been in a fight for his life.
After a scuffle between the neighbor and his client, Harris says the gun went off, killing the neighbor.
He put the body in the back of his, or the person in the back of his pickup truck and drove here. He says he doesn't remember anything about the drive here.
Harris says his client had contacted him just a few days ago about this neighbor, and attorneys recommended he get a restraining order. He says Marshall acted in self-defense and did what he had to do to save his own life.
And I think that can be shown consistently through the threats, through the advice we gave him, through the injuries, to the fact that the gun that was used was from the person who attacked Mr. Marshall.
Now, we went to that Bokeelia neighborhood where the shooting happened this afternoon. Crime scene tape closing off Hodges Drive for about a half a mile. We saw deputies searching in the grass on both sides of the road. Neighbors tell us the two have fought recently over gopher tortoise nests. They say the victim tried to uncover nests that Marshall had covered while clearing land. Neighbors call the victim a sweet guy who isn't known to be physically violent.
One of the nicest, most upstanding people I've ever known, and the integrity and the love this man shows to all his neighbors and his family, that he's gone. He would never have started a confrontation. He would have turned and walked away.
Now, John Marshall does have a violent history in Lee County. This is his mugshot from a September arrest in which he was charged with a felony for aggravated battery. Marshall was inside the Robert Harris law firm for several hours this afternoon being questioned by detectives. But again, we did hear just moments ago from his attorney that he does not believe he will be arrested. For now, he will be taken to the hospital to be checked out. For now, we are live in Fort Myers. Katie Jones, Fox 4, In Your Corner.
All right, thank you very much, Katie. And of course, you can get the very latest on this investigation when you visit our website anytime. It's fox4now.com.
Covering the race you decide tonight, Lee County Sheriff Mike Scott running for re-election, going for a fourth four-year term next year. The Republican has officially filed the paperwork to run again. He was first elected to office in 2004, defeating incumbent fellow Republican Rod Shope back then. Scott was re-elected in 2008 and again in 2012. No word if any other Republicans or any Democrats will challenge him this time. Scott's closest challenger in recent years was former Sheriff's Office employee Tim Fisher, who ran against him in the GOP primary last time. It's official. You live in paradise. A few early morning clouds, but then clearing out for another spectacular day in Southwest Florida. Look at those skies! From the Zoom 10 Skycam from Cape Harbor and Cape Coral, the Storm Patrol Tim Cheyenne with your weather first on Fox.
I can't believe it. You've lived in this town for more than 15 years, and it took you this long to make it official.
I'm slow, but I know beauty when I see it.
It was a great day in Southwest Florida. Can't tell you how many people who commented on the weather today, whether it was via our Facebook page, through email, or just when I was out running errands, using the power of 4 Doppler radars to show you that things are looking good. We're zooming in and showing you our street level mapping to show you that things are obviously very dry and very warm. 74 still in the Cape, 73 in Port Charlotte, 72 in LaBelle. Visibility still at about 10 miles, although it may get a little foggier by tomorrow morning. We don't think that fog's going to be a big problem, but it's something that we're considering. Here comes a front. Brings us a bit of a transition Friday that's going to change our forecast a bit for the weekend. We'll show you exactly how coming up here in a couple of minutes.
4 in Your Corner continuing to push for answers tonight as we uncover more information about a Fort Myers police officer involved in the Nate Allen case. Detective Audinia Thomas was one of the detectives who incorrectly focused on Nate Allen in that indecent exposure case. Personnel records showing it was the current chief of police, Doug Baker, who said back then she was not fit to be a detective when he was her supervisor years ago. 4 in Your Corner investigator Warren Wright showing you what he has now found out when it comes to all of this. Warren?
From the beginning, Nate Allen said he was innocent of indecent exposure. Eventually, evidence gathered by his attorney proved it. Fort Myers police held Allen for 4.5 hours. Detective Audinia Thomas interrogated him. FMPD documents revealed during the investigation, Thomas challenges Allen and whether or not he's telling the truth. Don't open your mouth, close your mouth, and you're not even man enough to acknowledge that. A sworn affidavit shows Thomas then requested a summons be issued for Nate Allen for exposing himself. But the state attorney denied the summons, and the police work that led to it has now sparked an internal investigation. So we wanted to know more about the police officers involved in the case and made a request for their personnel files. Audinia Thomas's personnel file, along with court documents obtained earlier, show a rocky relationship with the Fort Myers Police Department in general and Police Chief Doug Baker in particular. Hired in 1998 until 2007, her job reviews list her as satisfactory, and she steadily earned promotions and pay raises, eventually becoming a detective. But that's when things soon turned south. In her 2007 performance review, given on December 31st, Thomas received deficient scores in 16 out of 21 categories. She refused to sign the evaluation and noted that she has filed a formal complaint against the Fort Myers Police Department for unfair and biased treatment. 14 days later, Thomas filed an EEOC complaint for gender and racial discrimination. One day after that, then Major Doug Baker writes up an exhaustive and detailed report saying there is just cause to transfer Detective Thomas from the Detective Bureau. Thomas has received training and retraining in the areas of concern. Thomas still fails to display the proper knowledge and performance expected. As Thomas continued working for the department, the county deemed her complaints legitimate in 2011. Soon after, Thomas files in federal court a racial and gender discrimination lawsuit against the Fort Myers Police Department. And now the lead detective in the Nate Allen case is part of a much larger investigation. Warren Wright, Fox 4, in your corner.
Now, Warren also says that he pulled the personnel records of one other officer that he says was closely tied to the Nate Allen case, Sergeant Jackie Garrett. He says that her file shows above average reviews with no formal reprimands. All right, we want to give you a quick recap of where things stand as of tonight. City Council has asked the State Police Agency, FDLE, to look into how the city of Fort Myers handled the case after FMPD finishes its own internal investigation. The state attorney's office office has also publicly questioned the suspect identification tactics that the police have used here. The real suspect from the incident exposure case has yet to be arrested. Let us know what you think about this case, in light of this new information we've shared about the personnel file of that detective who questioned Nate Allen. Let us know when you call us 206-FOX-4 or email news@fox4now.com.
A Cape Coral business owner and his associate busted for drugs. 59-year-old Glenn Catchell, who owns Hips House of Horsepower, and 31-year-old John Bird facing possession and trafficking charges. Lead deputies raiding the business on Southeast 12th Avenue, reportedly finding cocaine, marijuana, and crystal meth all ready to be sold.
All new at 10 tonight. After more than 20 years, the Naples Pier getting a facelift. Naples City Council approving a $1.6 million renovation for the pier today. They're going to focus on bathrooms, new planks, steel fasteners that have been worn away because of the salt water. Naples Mayor John Sori says the beach will be closed around 4th of July, but it will be back open just for tourist season. Coming up, wildlife officers grabbing a gator in the Cape, much to the relief of neighbors.
When I saw that big gator, I was like, oh my God.
What happened after FWC officers hauled it into their truck? Plus.
Meanwhile, they still proceed to kick out at midnight his wife and his baby daughter.
A veteran and his family told to leave this Bonita hotel. Why they say this dog meant to help the vet is the reason.
But for saying ta-ta to taxis, the debate over whether cabs are classy enough to be on a certain street in Naples. That's next.
You're looking live at our Zoom 10 Sky Cam, showing you the evening at the Marina at Cape Harbor. And in case you missed it, at the beginning of the broadcast, it became official, according to Patrick Nolan. We live in paradise. And I have already sent out an email to my good friend, Mayor Ben Nelson of Bonita Springs. We're going to see if we can get like an official document, some sort of document that says that it's 100% official. There was a Zoom 10 Sky Cam that for some reason, actually this monitor just went out over here, guys. Take a look at that. I'm looking at one monitor that just went to black, but the other one shows us the Zoom 10 Sky Cam of downtown Punta Gorda. That's our camera that's at the Charlotte Harbor Event and Conference Center, also showing us that things are very, very nice. Here's your temperature right now, officially at Page Field, 73. Can that be right? It is. We got to the mid-80s for the afternoon high today, 85 officially at Page Field. Humidity at 80%, winds from the south-southeast at 6. Temperatures throughout the state are very warm. Even in the Panhandle, we're still in the mid to upper 60s right now. We'll start with a little bit of fog tomorrow. It's not going to be a big deal. We'll have some fair weather clouds in the afternoon. Actually, tomorrow is going to play out almost exactly like today. We'll have a high temperature in the mid-80s. It will be a little bit breezy. There's a lot of weather happening to the north of us, but it's nothing we need to be concerned about in the short term. It's all associated with this cool front. And this cool front producing some pretty good mixed precipitation around the Dallas area. Anyone who's lived up north, when you have to drive through this is the worst because it's snow for about 3 miles, then the roads get icy, then it turns to rain. That's exactly what they're seeing right now in Dallas. As a matter of fact, all the way up through Arkansas. Go to the northeast, now they're starting to see the snow get a little bit heavier in portions of northern Kentucky. Washington, probably going to have that rain changing over to snow here, Washington, D.C., that is, in the next 24 hours or so, actually, probably in the next 12 hours, actually. This is the front that we're going to be tracking because it's going to get down to southwest Florida on Friday, but by the time it gets to us, it's going to be very weak. Here are the computer models showing us, well, maybe a little bit of fog tomorrow morning, but not a lot. In the afternoon, the clouds increase a touch. They could get a few showers on the East Coast, but things should be mainly dry for us. Now, here comes the front. About 6:30 in the morning on Friday. Can you see the front? No, you really can't. It's right about here. You can see those showers out in the Gulf of Mexico. That gives you an idea just how weak the front is going to be. However, and I'm pausing things here late in the day on Friday, we're picking up on some rain. With the remnants of this front hanging around, we do have a chance for showers in our forecast starting Friday, but I think if we do get any significant rain, it's not going to be until very late in the day. So your Power 4 zone forecast, starting with the inland zones, you're going to have a little bit of morning fog, maybe an isolated shower for Palmdale, Immokalee, LaBelle, Arcadia, not a big deal. Harbor zones, foggy start, mainly dry, 83 to 85 for Englewood, Northport, and Rotunda. Coastal zones, you make it into the mid-80s. Any fog burning off very quickly. And on the beaches, boy, great beach weather. High temperatures should be in the low 80s. It's generally going to be a southeasterly wind for most of the day for the boaters. It becomes onshore in the afternoon by late. Seas around 2 feet. We'll have a light chop on the bay and in the waters. So 20% chance for showers in the forecast Friday. Late afternoon and evening is when we're going to see the majority of that rain. A slightly unsettled weekend with a chance for rain staying about 20%, but most of the showers on the lighter side. And again, Saturday and Sunday, if we see any significant rain, it's probably not going to be until much later in the day. Your exclusive fishing forecast right here on Fox 4, courtesy of Captain Good Guy Stan. He says the Back Bay fishing is improving here over the last week. A lot of redfish can be found under the bushes, and he says shrimp is by far the best bait. The shrimp right now are real big, and other baits are working well, but shrimp, can't go wrong using it. We're going to show you the most popular weather map on Facebook today, coming up in just about 10 minutes.
Taxi troubles in one of Southwest Florida's hottest spots for entertainment and dining. Council members and some business owners in Naples say they are sick of seeing cabs line Fifth Ave and they want to put a stop to it. 4 in your corner, Sabina Bassine showing you how they plan on keeping the streets taxi-free.
Brake lights are a common view on Fifth Avenue in Naples, and some Naples City Council members say cabs are the culprit.
Taxis that troll up and down at between 2 and 5 miles an hour. They're impeding traffic, they hang out the windows and shout for customers, all of which violates city ordinance.
The city says there are designated taxi stands off 5th, but
which are hard to find
and rarely used, so the cabbies hang out in front of the many restaurants looking for customers.
They are very disrespectful of our street. They're discourteous, their cars are very dirty, and don't really represent the image that we have so carefully worked on for the last 20 years on Fifth Avenue South.
But taxi companies say
any place where you have lots of people, that there's a call for taxis, restaurants, bars.
Council members meeting with several Fifth Avenue business owners who suggested using valet.
We did expand the valet. Valet was only on the street, I believe, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, and now they're there 7 nights a week.
And passing a no cruising ordinance for taxis. But not every business owner is on board. Some say the focus is misplaced.
So I think people are more frustrated about not having enough parking spaces than actual cabs being driven up and down the street.
Sabina Bassine, Fox 4 in your corner.
So council members and downtown business owners still need to finalize their ideas before any changes would officially be made and voted on. We want to hear from you when it comes to this idea. What do you think about this proposal of getting rid of taxis on Fifth Ave, not letting them line the streets there and clutter them, as some council members have said? Or do you agree they should be able to hang out where people are waiting to be picked up? Let us know your thoughts. 206 Fox 4. Email us news@fox4now.com.
Also happening in Naples tonight, City Council approving a controversial building project in downtown Naples. The council approving building a 212 multifamily complex at the former site of the Naples Daily News on Central Avenue, as well as a building off Goodlett Frank Road right near a new park the city's building. The development will be single-family homes. Some business owners were upset, saying they're worried about an increase in traffic, but the mayor says it's going to benefit the city.
I don't think it'll be a big problem. Going to be additional tax value for the city and new residents to utilize our restaurants and volunteer for our nonprofits.
The council also working to renovate Central Avenue, where the condos will be built, to include roundabouts and possibly even narrow the road there.
Coming up on Fox 4 News at 10, working out while you're younger. It might be more important than you think. How working out now could help your brain function when you get older.
I think you're ripping through some seams there.
Plus,
I feel like people really drop the ball, especially when it comes to first graders.
Parents fired up tonight saying their kids paid the price because of a teacher's mistake. We want your take on how the school handled it after that. Next. We want your opinion on this one. A whole class of first graders missing their school bus because their teacher lost track of time. First graders in Washington supposed to be let out of class at 2:50, but teacher lost track of time, causing every one of the students to miss the bus home. Parents were told they had to pick their children up at school then.
They told me it was my problem, that do I have a car? They were very passive aggressive and they didn't understand. It just didn't seem like the puzzles were not being pieced together at that time. I felt like it was my fault.
The school says it's an honest mistake. They don't plan to punish the teacher. We want to know, do you think the teacher should face discipline? And what about this idea of calling the parents and saying pick up your kids after that mistake? 239-206 Fox 4 or email news@fox4now.
Neighbors in Cape Coral getting a big surprise today.
To see that alligator and see where those kids sit versus where that alligator was, probably 6 feet away.
Where this gator was found just feet away from Kids Bus Stop. A vet and his family kicked out of a Southwest Florida hotel, and they say the dog meant to help him is the reason why. Plus, a bizarre case. This one's out of Lee County. A man kills another, puts the victim in his pickup truck, and then drives him to his attorney's office. We are live on the scene with the very latest next. More now on our top story tonight. A man admitting to killing his neighbor in Bokeelia on Pine Island and then driving the body to his attorney's office in downtown Fort Myers. 4 in Your Corner's Katie Jones live outside of that law office of Robert Harris, where she just learned brand new information about the man at the center of this bizarre case. Katie, what can you tell us?
Well, guys, we are expecting John Marshall to come out of the Robert Harris law firm at any moment now. Attorney Robert Harris just telling us moments ago that John Marshall will not be arrested right now. We're told he is going to the hospital with his wife and daughter to be checked out, and that he has several bruises, chipped teeth, and possibly broken thumbs. Harris says his client showed up at his office around 4:15 this afternoon with a body in the back of his pickup truck. We're told this all happened after Marshall had gotten into a fight with his neighbor in Bokeelia, and that Marshall was acting in self-defense when he shot the man. Marshall was here at the office for several hours being questioned, but again, his attorney says he is not being arrested right now. Again, we are expecting him to walk out of this office at any moment now, but we will be back with another live report coming up tonight on Fox 4 News at 11. For now, we are live in Fort Myers. Katie Jones, Fox 4 in your corner.
All right, thank you, Katie. A confrontation at a Bonita Springs hotel ending with a veteran who suffers from a traumatic brain injury behind bars. Jason White, as well as his wife and daughter, were in the area to get acquainted with his new service dog, Camo, but he was asked to leave the Best Western right near 75 and Bonita Beach Road when the dog got sick. As 4 in Your Corner's Carl Fortier explains, the late-night ordeal led to White being charged with battery and criminal mischief.
Well, Jason White and his family had just checked into the Best Western Monday night when his service dog Camo ate something on the floor and began vomiting. When he sought help from the front desk, their reaction led to him losing his cool and his wife and 2-year-old daughter facing a long night with a sick dog. Jason White did tours of duty in both Iraq and Afghanistan. The traumatic brain injury he suffered from an improvised explosive device while serving our country is part of the reason he says he needs his service dog Camo to keep him calm.
You know, I just kneel down, and I just pet him, and he'd calm me down.
The Michigan native has been in Florida learning to work with Camo, but after the dog ate something in their room at this Best Western in Bonita, Camo got sick. White says he went to the front desk to ask management if they knew what the dog could have eaten.
He didn't care about my service dog. He didn't care about anything.
He says the manager didn't want the dog there and asked them to leave. Frustrated, White called the Lee County Sheriff's Office, but since Camo hadn't completed his training, deputies told him they couldn't force the hotel to let them stay.
And that's when I kind of flipped, and I was like, I don't feel like this guy should get away with it.
The sheriff's report says the manager told deputies White had shoved him and broke a TV by kicking it. Deputies arrested White for battery and criminal mischief, leaving his wife Danielle alone with their young daughter Savannah to take Camo to an emergency vet clinic and find another place to spend the night.
We spent about 2.5 hours at the emergency vet clinic, making sure that Camo was going to survive.
Best Western management would not go on camera with me, but released a statement saying they have a long history of accepting service animals and comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. They say, in this situation, the guest did not identify that he had a service dog with him upon check-in. We were first made aware of the animal's presence in the guest's room through multiple complaints from other guests regarding the dog's barking.
Meanwhile, they still proceed to kick out at midnight his wife and his baby daughter and this critically ill service animal that's a $20,000 animal.
Now, Carol Borden with Guardian Angels Medical Service Dog says multiple veterans groups have come forward to help Jason White with his legal costs. Carl Fortier, Fox 4 in your corner.
All right, you've heard from the vet in this case. You've heard from the hotel. Do you think the right thing happened here? Tell us why or why not. 239-206 Fox 4 News at Fox 4 Now.
Local environmentalists urging lawmakers to buy the Sugar Land just south of Lake Okeechobee. They want state leaders to use the money from Amendment 1 set aside for conservation lands to buy that piece of property. Environmentalists say it's needed for additional storage to help dispense Lake O water releases away from the Caloosahatchee and St. Lucie River and instead toward the Everglades. You probably remember many people say that those releases from Lake O destroy local estuaries and hurt Southwest Florida's economy, something both environmentalists and local leaders say can be avoided in the future.
We now know that the only viable solution for redirecting the amount of water that we currently have going down the west coast into our river and estuary would be to buy this land south of Lake Okeechobee and flow it back to where it historically flowed and belonged. And we can't afford to continue to have that situation because it is killing our economy.
The Army Corps of Engineers resumed those water releases from Lake O earlier this year. The South Florida Water Management District is now working to reduce the impact.
Cuts coming to the Lehigh Acres Fire Department just months after a fire assessment fee passed aimed at keeping firefighters on the job. The fire assessment fee approved in November now taxes residents to fund the department, but there's still a gap in funding, so the department will still have to lay off some employees. The department won't be able to collect money from that fire assessment fee until the beginning of next year.
It's not going to affect operations of the department whatsoever. It doesn't change the amount of employees that are on duty at any given time.
Initially, 22 positions were supposed to be cut, but with resignations, people retiring, or some just choosing to leave voluntarily, the department will only have to lay off 6 firefighters. The layoffs will become effective on April 1st, and the fire chief says these next 10 months or so are going to be really difficult for the department.
Very comfortable evening temperature-wise, tough to beat as we're close to 70 degrees just about everywhere. As a matter of fact, the warmest county appears to be Lee County right now. 73 in Fort Myers, 74 our current temperature in the Cape. A little bit cooler in Punta Gorda. These temperatures really aren't going to fall all that much more. By the time you wake up tomorrow morning, temperatures generally going to be in the low to mid 60s. Now, visibility is starting to drop a little bit. It's not that it's really getting foggy out there, but visibility down to 8 miles at the airport in Immokalee. By tomorrow morning, it's probably going to be a little bit foggy for you. This morning, we did not have a lot of fog because the atmosphere actually got a little bit drier. But tomorrow, what we're going to be tracking is a cool front that's getting closer to southwest Florida. That's going to change our weather a little bit by Friday. But here's the most popular weather map. We've shared this on Facebook over the last couple of evenings. We've had so many people share it. I'm assuming sharing it with their friends up north, especially places like Bismarck and International Falls, where it's well below zero. Florida staying cut off from pretty much the rest of the nation for a while. I'll tell you how long it stays warm coming up here in just a couple of minutes.
Same team, brand new home. Minnesota Twins fans enjoying a day of baseball today inside the newly renovated Hammond Stadium at the newly renamed CenturyLink Sports Complex. The Twins beating the University of Minnesota Gophers 3-1. The Minnesota Twins spring training home was updated with more than $48 million in renovations. Fans seem to be loving the new look.
Oh, I think it's just beautiful. They've added so many concessions and things. I guess I read an article on it, and they've done an awful lot, but just looking around, it's just beautiful.
The complex features 1,300 additional seats, new concessions, new restrooms, among several other new amenities.
Developing overseas tonight, our country's ambassador to South Korea attacked while giving a lecture. 42-year-old Mark Lippert was attacked by a guy with a razor blade at this event. These TV images and photos show him bleeding from his head and his wrist, you can see there. Authorities say the person who attacked him was screaming about North and South Korea and that they should be unified. No word on the extent of the ambassador's injuries. They're reportedly not life-threatening. He was appointed ambassador to South Korea last year.
The United States Justice Department has formally closed its investigation into the Ferguson, Missouri police officer who shot and killed an unarmed teen, Michael Brown. Officer Darren Wilson will not be facing any criminal charges for that shooting. In a report released today, prosecutors said that Wilson's actions did not constitute a violation of federal civil rights law. The Justice Department also issuing a 100-page report that included findings of systemic racial discrimination by the Ferguson police and court system against African Americans. A House committee investigating the deadly 2012 terror attack on the U.S. mission in Benghazi, Libya, has subpoenaed former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's personal emails. Clinton is the leading contender for the 2016 Democratic presidential nomination, though she has not declared she is running yet. The House panel's announcement comes after it was disclosed that the nation's top diplomat, Clinton, relied on a personal email account rather than one operated by the government.
Tracking medical news tonight. You want to have a healthy brain later in life? Work out a little bit more now. Researchers finding people with poor physical fitness in their 40s may have lower brain volumes by the time they turn 60. Individuals with lower fitness levels had smaller brain tissue volume later in life. Researchers say if you want to boost your blood pressure, Or rather, if you don't boost your blood pressure, that may also lead to smaller brain tissue volume. I think I need to work out.
I think we both do.
I got all those facts right.
Giving a whole new meaning to the phrase hotline, a guy's iPhone burning onto his skin.
I guess like when you branded a bowl or something like that. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, this is not the kind of branding marketing genius Apple is looking for, though, as the phone blows up in his pocket.
Feeling blue about having brown eyes? The new medical procedure that could give you the baby blue peepers you've always wanted. But first,
I hope I never see another one unless it's served for dinner.
Look who almost came to dinner in Cape Coral. What wildlife officers did with this gator after removing it from this neighborhood. That's next.
4 in your corner with a breaking development in a weird case. The guy who admitted to killing his neighbor today in Bokeelia on Pine Island and then driving the dead body to a lawyer's office in downtown Fort Myers is seen leaving his lawyer's office. This is him right here. He's got the jacket over his head. He's wearing a red shirt and he's got blue shorts on. We were able to verify with our reporter on the scene. He also wasn't wearing shoes. This is video of him getting into the car. Remember, he drove about 45 minutes, about 25 miles from Pine Island with a dead body in the back of his pickup truck to his lawyer's office in downtown Fort Myers. His lawyer telling us tonight he's not going to be charged or arrested tonight. He's being taken to the hospital to be checked out. We will continue to monitor the situation. We understand it started as a neighbor tiff, essentially, on Pine Island. We will keep you updated on fox4now.com and the latest for you tomorrow on Fox 4 Rising.
Gator crossing in one Cape Coral neighborhood, and this was no small sighting. Folks frantically calling 911 after they spotted an almost 10-foot gator. He was hanging out at the corner of El Dorado Boulevard and Northwest 31st Street in the Cape, on a corner where kids wait for their school bus. All new at 10 tonight, I'm giving you an up-close look at the big guy as trappers hauled him away and parents breathe a sigh of relief. Tied tight with a rope to a street sign, it's no pooch on the other end. Try a gator. It made its way into this Cape Coral neighborhood and has everyone hanging out on the corner to catch a glimpse and snap some pictures of this 9-foot beauty.
Oh God, it's hissing again.
Kathy Cranford says she was painting a house across from this storm drain when she first saw the gator trying to squeeze into it. So she called 911.
I was like, oh my God, this thing could have just come across the street and walked up on me. I was just really shaken by it.
And by just how close it was to a bus stop where she sees kids sit every day.
To see that alligator and see where those kids sit versus where that alligator was, probably 6 feet away.
Pretty scary if you ask her.
Let's not touch it.
But Mom Melissa Jufrey is taking the visitor in stride.
It's Florida. There's gators here. It's part of life down here.
She has mixed emotions about just how close this gator was to home, but looks at this as a lesson for her kids to pay close attention when they're outside.
They're going to be a little bit more on watch for them.
Probably a good idea, since trappers say mating season is ramping up and gators could be lurking anywhere.
And they're probably around every day. People just don't always see them.
Not seeing them is just what Kathy's hoping for.
I hope I never see another one unless it's served for dinner.
And sadly for the gator, that's just what's happening. He's going into this truck and off to the processing plant labeled a nuisance. So it's one last peek over the back of the pickup before it's see you later, alligator.
If I never see another one, I'm fine with that.
And the trapper tells us the gator will be processed at a farm. His skin, meat, and most everything else will be sold off. They also tell us in the past 2 days alone, they have gotten several calls to trap nuisance gators here in Southwest Florida.
Live look from our zoomed-in sky cam at the Charlotte Harbor Event and Conference Center. You're overlooking downtown Punta Gorda, which is great. No fog out there. None really expected in the short term. By tomorrow morning, it may be a little bit foggy, but here's the marina at Cape Harbor. This shows you the entire day. Look for some fog? Not going to find any. Oh, sure, we had a few fair weather clouds in the afternoon, but look at how flat they are. The atmosphere at the upper levels actually got a little bit drier. That's one of the reasons why today we didn't have as much cloud cover in the afternoon, and our high temperature was actually a couple of degrees cooler, made it to the mid-80s officially at Page Field. Right now, we're still in the 70s. Officially, right now at Page Field, we're at 73 degrees with humidity at 80%. Winds from the south-southeast at about 6. Winds are also going to be at about 3 to 5 miles per hour first thing tomorrow morning. Another reason why we don't think it's going to be overly foggy. We're scanning the skies using the power of 4 Doppler radars to look for rain. Now, that's all we're going to be able to do. Look in the short term. By Friday, that's when we're going to start to see at least a little bit of rain showing up. Tomorrow, any fog burns off quickly. We get to the mid-80s for the afternoon high. Tomorrow, almost exactly like today. Cool front to the north of us. Actually, it's a pretty good front, producing some snow, some mixed precipitation. That's what you see right there in the pink. We'll zoom in a little bit closer and show you messy weather right now in Dallas, Oklahoma City, off and on snow here over the last couple of hours. That snow moving farther to the northeast. Cincinnati, portions of Kentucky getting that snow. This same cool front is one for us to track. It'll be here on Friday, but by the time it gets to us, going to be very weak. Here's your morning tomorrow morning. Fog not showing up so much on the computer models because we just don't think it's going to be that foggy. Inland, we could get a couple of stray showers, maybe Glades or Hendry County, but the chance for rain really less than 20%. Now by Friday morning, that front's going to be getting closer. Right about here is where that front's going to be. It's going to be very, very weak, but you see that line of showers in the Gulf? If we see any showers on Friday, they're going to hold off till late in the afternoon or the evening. Looks like the chance for rain is better south of the Caloosahatchee, but officially our chance for rain is 20% Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because the remnants of this front are going to kind of hang around. If we do see any rain Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, mainly going to be later in the day, so our weekend still looks very good. Power 4 zone forecast. Inland zones, little morning fog for you, and isolated afternoon showers possible for Clewiston, Moorhaven, Lakeport. 85 to 87 your afternoon high. Harbor zones making it to 83 to 85. Once the fog is gone, should be another great day. Coastal zones, mid-80 for you. Mainly dry with a southeasterly wind at about 5 to 10. And the beach is still going to be a few degrees cooler, but you're going to make it to the low 80s on the beaches. Winds will be from the southeast, becoming onshore by late in the day. Seas around 2 feet. A light chop expected on the bay and in the waters, and 70 degrees, our latest Gulf of Mexico temperature. 20% chance for isolated showers, mainly late Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Temperatures not changing much at all. By Monday, it gets a little less humid and maybe a degree or two cooler, but still warmer than average temperatures expected for much of next week. That is your Storm Patrol forecast.
Want to change your eye color? The breakthrough way to do it permanently without contacts.
Ay, ay, ay. How a guy's iPhone burned him in more ways than one.
Scary moments for a guy in New York. His iPhone exploded in his pocket. Eric Johnson says his phone was in his pocket on Valentine's Day when he suddenly felt something burning. He received 2nd and 3rd degree burns on his inner thigh as he was trying to get the phone out of his pants.
I guess like when you're branding a bull or something like that. That's what it felt like. It really did. And I was literally jumping up and down trying to get the phone out of my pocket, but I think I had dress pants on. I think the phone melted my pockets shut.
Guess what? Tech experts say the tiniest bit of damage to your phone's circuit board or the use of a third-party charging device can cause the battery to overheat and spew what they call lithium lava. You want lighter eyes? There's now a medical procedure that can permanently turn your brown eyes blue. The laser procedure works by eliminating the brown melanin that's present in the anterior layers of your iris. The fundamental principle is that every brown eye is actually blue. Under that brown is blue. The only difference between a brown eye and a blue eye is a very thin layer of pigment on the surface.
Forget the bionic man. How about the bionic dog? All new next at 11, the robotic body part that's giving this pooch a new lease on life. Move over, Billy Fusillo. There's a huge new attraction making the news tonight. The backyard luge that you'll have to do a double take when you see it. On the rocks, you bet. The homemade bar that requires every drink be served on ice. That's all new next at 11.